Hello?
Hello. Hi Kim, hi Tam. I did say I'd do this. This is quite possibly one of the hardest things I've ever done. This is now my 4th attempt. God knows how many attempts you had to do to get this right the first time around, but I did say I'd do it, so I am. My 5 minutes in front of a camera talking to myself. Early life, right. I was born in Rigmore Hospital in Inverness, in Scotland. My dad at that time was stationed at Fort George in the army. Apparently we lived in Nairn, in a house, number 13. No, that must have been Jacqueline's mum and dad's address. I lived on Nevis Road. No, can't think of the address. Anyway, from there he moved about a bit, ended up in Sheffield for about 6 months or so. Moved back to Morton to a flat in Holly Place. Through a family member is now my dad's deceased sister, Pat, her husband Pete at the time. His mum and dad were living in a house on Flaxhill and wanted to swap for a flat, and thus they swapped. So we ended up at Flaxhill on Morton, Merseyside. First memory I think, Jane. Jane Williams used to live over the road from us, number 12. Smashing lass, known her most of my life. Lost contact with her obviously after I left. Remember her coming to meet us when we moved in. Smashing little lass, like I say, knew her most of my life. First school, Lingham Primary. Hated it. From there, the school next door, which by most of it's gone now, to be honest. Lingham Middle, it's actually between two. There was Lingham Middle and Barnston Lane. They used to have stupid things about going in between the two. So from Lingham Middle it would have been to Barnston Lane, which is now demolished and is now some sort of building, business premises. From there, Henry Mells School, but like most of my life, was lost in music. I had a big love for music, always have. So I started guitar lessons probably when I was about 5 or 6. I think my dad bought me my first guitar, just a little acoustic one. Guitar lessons, blah blah blah. Played electric until probably about 13 or 14. When I went to Henry Hall School, bumped into a guy called Lee Griffiths, who became a major part in my little life. Stuck in the music room one day, peeling about. Somebody asked if I knew the drums to something, and I did. And I played, and I never looked back. And from there on, I was playing the drums for them. We had our own little practice sessions up. My dad used to work at Express Dairies in Sogor Massey at the time, and we used to rent the upstairs bit at night. We used to be able to use it. A little bloke called Taffy on the front gate used to let us in, and they used to go up there and practice and stuff like that. We never really got to do that much. Played in front of school a couple of times. From there, CB radio, mostly. From probably about the age of about 10 or 11, I think my dad got his first one, and then I was hooked on it. Smoking the Bandit films and all that. I loved it. I never used to get off the damn thing. Used to be on it till about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Obviously, before the days of the internet. From then on, let me think. Left school. Couldn't wait to get out of school. Henry Mills was the last school I went to. Used to be called Wallasey Grammar. I think it's gone back to being called that now. From there, leaving school. I remember it was Friday. I had to leave 10:15 in the morning, and that was when break started, and I had to hang about to get a release form signed or something, and I couldn't wait. Ended up ripping all my school books up in the foyer and chucking them all over the place and running out the front door, and couldn't wait to get out of school. From there, went on a YTS scheme for about a year. First year as a motor mechanic. Well, I only did the first year, so I didn't qualify for the apprenticeship. Wasn't much about much at that time. From there, got sacked for his mistake. But anyway, never mind. Water under the bridge. From there, I was a security guard. Got a job as a security guard from the job centre, but it was like a community. It wasn't like anything to do with the court thing. It was a community service. You applied for it. It was for a year. Did that part time, 2 days a week. At Lisa Hospital, which is now flattened. It's now houses where my cousin lives. He's got a house on there. God, this is hard. How the hell did you do this? Right, from YTS. Right, Dolly for a year and a half. Got bored. Met a lad called Mark Truman. Got on with him like a house on fire. He ended up seeing a girl called Lorraine, or Loz as we know her. Her family, through her dad, he was a chef. He moved down to Newbury in Berkshire. I went down for a 10-day holiday and ended up not coming back home. So they said basically, if you wanted a job, there's a spare room here, you can stay here if you want. Okay, fine, no problem. I've had countless jobs there, Newbury and Swindon, well, Newbury especially. You just basically walk out of one job in 5 minutes, you've got another. So I had quite a few. From there, I met a bloke called Robin Brooks, going good mates. He bought a house in Swindon, asked if I wanted to lodge among with others, so I moved in with him. Ended up meeting his parents used to own a cafe called Brooks Eating House in Swindon, which was where my now wife Jacqueline worked when she was 19, 20, and we hated each other when we first met, but that time has proved that wrong. So we met her there, ended up moving in with her and her mum and dad at the time in Orwell Close in Swindon. From there we moved to Prospect Hill, where we had Kimberly, our firstborn. She's now 15. From there, moved back in with the mum and dad. I remember Jacqueline was she was working for British Telecom at the time. She was to take voluntary redundancy from BT, and her dad was a manager at the DSS for about 30 years, but he got transferred down to Swindon. He was to take early retirement, and we moved to, well, we had plans to buy and run a hotel on the prom, which never worked. It never worked out actually, never even started. So we had all the plans to move up here. One of us needed a job. 2 years earlier in Swindon, I'd passed my bus test. Worked for Thames Down Transport for about a year and a half, 2 years. I had to buy myself out when I moved up here. Started at a local stagecoach in Morecambe, used to be Drivel. Bought this house. About 6 months later, mum and dad, through the money that they got, bought their house outright. We had Stephanie about then. She's 12, coming 13 in November. Left stagecoach in about 2002. Amy was born, when was Amy born? 2000, yeah, that's right. So Amy was born in 2000, left stagecoach in 2002. Got my job at North West Tyres because I fancied a complete change. I hated bus driving, I don't recommend it to anyone. Other than that, that's about it, I think. Oh, bloody hell, I've been on for 9 minutes and 30 seconds and I'm going to shut my gob now. This is quite possibly the hardest thing I've ever done, and I challenge anybody else to do the same thing for the same amount of time. Okay, Kim? Thanks very much. Goodbye.